Gog and Magog in Islam. In Islamic tradition, Gog and Magog, known as Yajuj and Majuj, are two destructive tribes mentioned in the Qur'an and Hadith literature. They are associated with apocalyptic events and signify corruption, chaos, and widespread destruction near the end of times. This essay explores their identity, role in Islamic eschatology, and significance within the broader Islamic worldview. Gog and Magog in the Quran. Gog and Magog are mentioned in two key verses of the Quran, in Surah Al-Kahf, 18-93-98, and Surah Al-Anbiya, 21-96-97. In the story of Dhul Qarnayn, a righteous and powerful king, he encounters a group of people who complain about the havoc caused by Yajuj and Majuj. They request his help to build a barrier to protect themselves. Dhul Qarnayn constructs a strong barrier, a wall of iron and molten copper, to trap these tribes, preventing them from causing further harm. He declares that this barrier will remain until Allah's decree arrives, at which point it will be breached. Verse: When he, Dhul Qarnayn, reached between two mountains, he found beside them people who could hardly understand his speech. They said, O Dhul Qarnayn, indeed, Gog and Magog are great corruptors in the land. So shall we assign for you a payment that you make between us and them a barrier? Quran 18-93-94. This verse foretells the reappearance of Yajuj and Majuj near the Day of Judgment, when they will descend rapidly from every height, signifying widespread chaos. Verse: Until when Gog and Magog are let loose and they, from every elevation, descend, then the true promise will draw near. Quran 21-96-97. Gog and Magog in Hadith literature. The Prophet Muhammad elaborates on Yajuj and Majuj in several hadiths, providing vivid descriptions of their release and their destructive nature. 1. Release and spread of chaos. In a hadith reported by Zainab bint Jahsh, the Prophet said, Woe to the Arabs from an evil that has drawn near. Today, a hole has been opened in the barrier of Gog and Magog. Bukhari, Muslim. This indicates that the release of Yajuj and Majuj is a sign of the approaching Day of Judgment. 1. Their characteristics. Yajuj and Majuj are described as numerous in number, so much so that when they are released, they will overwhelm the earth. According to a hadith, the first of them will pass by Lake Tiberias, Sea of Galilee, and drink its water, and by the time the last of them pass, they will say, There was once water here. Muslim. 1. Destruction and divine intervention. The hadiths explain that Yajuj and Majuj will wreak havoc, consuming all resources and destroying everything in their path. The believers, under the leadership of Prophet Isa, Jesus, peace be upon him, will seek refuge on Mount Tur. Eventually, Allah will destroy Yajuj and Majuj by sending worms to infect their necks, leading to their demise. Interpretations and identity of Gog and Magog. The identity of Yajuj and Majuj has been a subject of much speculation and interpretation. Historically, Islamic scholars and commentators have suggested that they represent specific tribes, civilizations, or symbolic forces of corruption. 1. Literal interpretation. Some scholars view Yajuj and Majuj as real tribes or nations, confined behind a physical barrier that remains hidden. Their eventual release will fulfill Allah's promise. 1. Symbolic interpretation. Others interpret them symbolically, representing forces of moral decay, political turmoil, or cultural corruption that manifest throughout human history, culminating in their full release near the end times. 1. Modern speculations. Some contemporary thinkers associate Yajuj and Majuj with modern superpowers or ideologies that dominate and exploit the Earth's resources, causing widespread chaos and destruction. Significance of Gog and Magog in Islamic eschatology. Yajuj and Majuj are central to Islamic eschatology, serving as key signs of the Day of Judgment. Their release signifies the nearing of the end times and the ultimate victory of truth over falsehood. Their story teaches several lessons. 1. The power of Allah. The narrative of Yajuj and Majuj highlights Allah's absolute control over human destiny. Despite their overwhelming power, they cannot escape His decree. 1. The temporary nature of trials. The chaos caused by Yajuj and Majuj is a test for humanity, reminding believers of the transient nature of worldly tribulations and the eternal nature of the hereafter. 1. Hope in divine intervention. Despite the destruction they cause, the eventual divine intervention underscores that Allah's mercy and justice prevail over all evil. Conclusion. In Islam, Gog and Magog, Yajuj and Majuj, symbolize chaos, corruption, and the trials of the end times. Their mention in the Qur'an and Hadith serves as a reminder of the inevitability of the Day of Judgment and the supremacy of Allah's will. Whether viewed literally or symbolically, their story carries profound lessons about faith, resilience, and the ultimate triumph of good over evil. As believers reflect on their narrative, they are encouraged to remain steadfast in their faith and prepare for the accountability of the hereafter. The exact location of Gog and Magog, Yajuj and Majuj, is a matter of much speculation and debate, as the Quran and Hadith do not explicitly define their geographic position. Islamic sources, however, provide some clues through the story of Dhul Qarnayn, who built a strong barrier to confine them. Here is an exploration of possible locations and interpretations. Clues from the Quran in Surah Al-Kahf, 18-93-98. It is mentioned that Dhul Qarnayn encountered two mountains, or natural barriers, between which Yajuj and Majuj were wreaking havoc. He constructed a fortified wall with iron and molten copper to contain them. This wall has remained a central element in attempts to locate their position. 1. Geographic indications. 1. The barrier was built between two steep mountains. 2. It was constructed to separate a group of people who were being terrorized by Yajuj and Majuj. 3. The Quran does not specify the region or the names of the mountains. Theories and historical speculation. Scholars and historians have offered several theories about the location of Yajuj and Majuj, often based on interpretations of Dhul Qarnayn's journey and historical geography. 1. The Caucasus Mountains, between the Black Sea and Caspian Sea. 1. One popular theory locates the barrier in the Caucasus region. 1. The Caspian Gates, a narrow pass in the Caucasus, has been suggested as the location of the wall. 2. This region matches the description of a mountainous terrain and has been historically significant as a passage between Europe and Asia. 2. Central Asia. 1. Some scholars associate Yajuj and Majuj with the nomadic tribes of Central Asia, such as the Scythians, Huns, or Mongols. 1. These tribes were known for their invasions and destructive power. 2. The mountainous terrain of Central Asia, including areas like the Altai or Pamir ranges, has been suggested as a possible location. 3. The Great Wall of China. 1. Some early Muslim historians speculated that the Great Wall of China might be linked to Dhul Qarnayn's barrier, as it was built to protect against invading northern tribes. 2. However, this theory lacks strong evidence, as the Quranic description of the wall differs significantly from the Great Wall. 4. Theories of hidden locations. Other scholars suggest that the barrier might be in a remote, undiscovered region of the Earth, hidden from modern exploration. Some believe it could be buried or collapsed over time but still exists in a form only Allah knows. Modern interpretations. 1. Symbolic understanding. 1. Some scholars argue that Yajuj and Majuj are not confined to a physical location but represent forces of chaos and corruption that manifest periodically in human history. 2. In this view, their release could symbolize the rise of destructive powers or ideologies rather than literal tribes breaking free from a barrier. 2. Scientific and geographic mysteries. Advances in mapping and satellite imagery have not identified a definitive physical structure matching the description of Dhul Qarnayn's barrier. This has led to speculation that the barrier is either metaphorical or in a hidden, remote area. The role of faith. The exact location of Gog and Magog is ultimately part of the unseen, ghaib, knowledge that Allah has kept hidden. The Quran and Hadith emphasize their role in eschatology rather than their geographical details. Believers are encouraged to focus on the spiritual lessons and signs associated with Yajuj and Majuj rather than the specifics of their location. Conclusion: while several theories suggest possible locations for Gog and Magog, including the Caucasus Mountains, Central Asia, and other remote regions, their precise location remains unknown. The barrier constructed by Dul Qarnayn and the tribes of Yajuj and Majuj are ultimately matters of divine knowledge, and their eventual emergence is a key sign of the Day of Judgment in Islamic eschatology.